Welcome to the Harjit and Prayer Show with your host, Harjit and Prayer. Welcome to the Harjit and Prayer Show with your host, Harjit and Prayer.
It's January 14th. Happy 2021, Harjit.
Happy New Year!
It's been an interesting one so far,
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
know, right? Has anything changed since last time?
Yeah, the date.
The date, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, but I hope everybody had a good holiday. I had lots of fun. Obviously, we didn't go anywhere purposefully because we have little kids and just kind of hard to control stuff. But yeah, playing with their new toys the entire time. They didn't really, honestly, they didn't want to go anywhere. We just stayed
Oh,
home and played with
that's good.
dolls a lot and made crafts and stuff like that. I think I checked email once the entire week that I was away, which was really cool. But
Yeah,
then I think I spent like several hours on that Monday morning, January 4th, catching up. But what I think I'm going to do next year, though, is, you know, take that first week in January just off.
like I did.
Yeah, like you
That's what I
did.
did.
Yep.
It's
And
amazing.
just be like, everybody else will be getting back and readjusting and blah 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 blah, but I'll still be on vacation doing something else and then deal
Yeah,
with it when everybody's kind of back in their own swing of things and stuff like that.
yeah.
So, but
Yeah,
you
so
had
speaking of breaks, I mean, you and I both work for higher ed, and I think I had more break time because we were closed literally from the the Monday to so I had full 2 weeks from work, right?
yep.
And we got some extra days given to us because of COVID and stuff like that. It was kind of like, and we had like salary cuts and all that fun stuff. So they're like, hey, we're gonna give you guys extra 2 days or so to kind of make up for it. So I had that, and then I also had planned because obviously my birthday is on January 3rd,
Hmm.
um, and so I had some travel plans, which I'll talk about in a little bit here. So I said, hey, I'd like to take the first week off as well, and I have to tell you though, it was amazing. It was. I tried to, uh, you know, I didn't check emails like work emails. I didn't do work stuff. I
Hmm.
still did some consulting work, but that's not too heavy. And personal emails and stuff like that, and some social medias. We've been in contact with all our friends as well.
Yep.
Um, but it was nice, and I feel like this is something that I think I'm gonna do every year if I can, if
Sure.
it's possible. Um, so yeah, so one of the things that I did, apart from the 2 weeks just at home and just chilling and catching up on things or whatever, but the first week of January I ended up getting away actually with very close family members, my daughters and a couple of my relatives, and we had planned this a while back, and because we've been cooped up like everybody else since March, right? For COVID and all that stuff. And so we had a trip planned to Key Largo and Key West, both at very exclusive resorts,
Hmm.
thanks to my sister-in-law. Thank you. They were really nice places, very safe, and social distancing and protocols and all that fun stuff. Well, Florida itself is a different story, but these
Yeah.
resorts were fantastic. So so that's what I did, and had a fantastic time. And um,
Getting there was interesting though.
yeah, so I flew on January 1st with one of my daughters from Burlington, Vermont, and we were. I think our flight was around 5 o'clock. We were supposed to land in Philly at about 7, I guess, and then a connection about an hour and a half later to Miami. That we were going to spend the night in Miami at a hotel, and then meet up with the rest of the family.
Hmm.
And partway through, while we were flying, and the captain comes on the speaker, and he says, "Hey, we got a little issue up here with one of our instruments, and it's indicating we have some icing problem and whatever. And then we're gonna land in Albany, New York, uh, to get this checked out." We're like, "What?"
That's a lot
So
of information to give, I feel. Like I thought like you would I thought as a captain of a I'm sorry, pilot of an aircraft, commercial aircraft with passengers, you would be more generic, but that sounds really
oh, he
specific.
told he
Yeah.
told us. He said
Wow.
there was an icing problem. That's what the instruments were indicating. So he wasn't sure whether it was a false positive or one of those things. So it needs to get it checked out because our I think Philly was actually going through some rough weather, so he didn't want to take the risk.
Oh, okay.
Landed
Got
in Albany. Here's a beautiful thing though. As soon as we landed in Albany, about 6:30 ish or whatever, and we're like, okay, what now? What now? Is the plane gonna go? It's like, well, no. We had to call our mechanics, and they're actually off site. They're home, so it's gonna take them 30 minutes to get here. So fine. So we wait for that. And then, by the way, do not leave the airport. Do not leave this area because TSA is closed for the day,
Oh my gosh.
and there are
Wow.
no restaurants or anything open at this time. And we were like, what? So you can't leave because if you leave, you can't come back. There's no
Mhm.
TSA, right? You
Yep.
can't get any food or drinks. Like you're like, what? So we hung around and they kept telling us, oh, we'll wait. The mechanics will check it out. Sure enough, mechanics showed up. They pushed the plane out, test, 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 took it out for a spin, came back, test, test, test. I'm telling you, that was incredible. And we are like, what do we do? What do we do? And finally, they tell us, oh, yeah, we're not sure because the crew is actually timing out
Oh my gosh.
soon. They time out. That's the end of it. There's no other flights going out, and they were gonna book us the very next morning with a connection in DC and Reagan
Hmm.
with a 39-minute connection, and it was going to start snowing in about 2 hours. And well, like, there's no way we're going to make the connection tomorrow. We'll be stuck in DC, and there's only one flight out from DC to Miami.
Oh man.
Right,
Wow.
on American. So we were like, no, 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 no. So we did some quick research and stuff like that, and I started looking for Ubers and Lyfts and whatever, and you know maybe we could go to Philly, maybe we could go to LaGuardia or Newark or something like that because there are a lot of flights from for the next day.
Right.
Couldn't find anything. No Ubers, no Lyfts, no nothing. Look for car rentals one way to New York. They're not accepting it or not available.
Hmm.
Finally, about 2 hours later, after waiting around, we found a one-way rental to Philadelphia. I had my flights rebooked from Philadelphia, and we got out of the airport, got the rental, drove
While it was snowing and sleeting.
while it's snowing and sleeting, and instead of like, oh, I was thinking, oh, I'll drive at 70, 75 miles an hour. Oh no, no. I could barely drive around 40, 45 miles an hour for maybe the first 2 hours.
Yeah.
45, maybe 50.
And so were you coming down the thruway? 87?
I think so. Yeah, 87. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
just so that people know, like that's not a fun road to drive on when it's snowing.
Oh,
It
the car
gets
was the
yeah.
car was just going this way and that way, and then my daughter says, Dad, we need to eat. Like I said, there must be something, like a service center. She said there is nothing. There is a McDonald's coming up, but she says after that we're gonna go through the Catskills. I said, what? You mean we're gonna go up and I'm like, okay. We need to stop somewhere. So we did. We found a McDonald's, a drive-through, and grabbed something real quick and hit the road. And I mean, a 3-hour drive ended up taking me about 4.5 hours. I
Mhm.
got to Philly at about 3:15, 3:30 in the morning. The last hour, I was kind of like, oh my God, am I going to make it? Am I going to make it?
Mhm.
I was so exhausted. But yeah, we caught the first flight out and made it to Miami, met up with the family, and then rented a car and we drove down, and then it was game on, vacation time. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So it paid off for it.
That's cool. Yeah, I definitely want to check out. A lot of now that I live in Florida, I've asked people about like, hey, how's that drive to Key West? They're like, dude, do not do that. Like, it is horrible.
That
As
drive is horrible. That
yeah,
drive is horrible. It is. I was told about it. Like I'm like, it can't be that bad. But it was actually, it's like it's because there's only one road in and one road out all the way to the Keys,
hmm
and it's literally almost it's some places literally bumper to bumper, and stop and go, stop and go, stop and go, and you're like, oh my god, and you're only like, oh, our destination is only 30 miles away. It's only 20 miles away. We still have another hour to go because
sure.
of traffic. It's so ridiculous.
Yep.
But the area is beautiful. I do recommend if people want to check out a nice place and stuff.
Yep.
It's nice. One of the funny things, so there's that shell. I tend to call it conch, but it's actually conch.
Yeah, and it's like they think it's their own country down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's fun.
Cool.
Anyways, so back at work this week, first week back, and now digging through emails and requests and all that stuff as we normally do, and thank God tomorrow's Friday, and I believe we have Monday off. If
That's
I'm not
cool.
mistaken.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't checked. I'm pretty sure we have it too.
Yeah.
For Martin Luther's King's holiday. Yeah, kind of the same. Just the first couple of days, lots of catching up, and now getting. I think it took me like midway through the week to kind of get back in the rhythm of things, and I'm glad to be in that spot again where it's just like, oh, I'm not at. You're in the same building as you do the work, but you're like not doing work, and then you're in the same building doing work again, but you can hear the girls playing, and sometimes the radio is on and stuff like that. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, we're not on vacation anymore. This
Oh,
thing's
one of the highlights of my trip. Oh, I forgot to mention this. Was my daughter bought me tickets. Bought me and my other daughter tickets uh, for my birthday to swim with the dolphins. I mean, so that was a place in Key Largo. So on my birthday on January 3rd, we went down to this some kind of a park. They've got sea lions and things like that, and birds and all that fun stuff, and dolphin shows and sea lion shows, and then at the end of the day, so we had an opportunity to go to a secluded area and swim with two massive dolphins. Like I didn't think I was going to be able to do it because one, I'm always terrified. Not to say terrified, I have a hard time getting into water if it's not above 80 degrees.
hmm
And this was 74, which I was like, oh, I can't, and you're not in a pool. I mean, you're not in like a swimming pool. You're in like a more like a indoor kind of a pond kind of a area, and they bring in seawater,
Yep.
so it's very salty.
hmm
And so managed to get in, and they give you flippers, which is horrible because if you had never used it before, it's hard to walk and figure out.
Gotcha.
And then they have you like swim, to the center of the pool, and then they give instructions to the dolphin to come and do things with you, and and you're waiting, and you're like, okay, then you hug the dolphin and you swim back and you hold the fins, and it's a whole different experience. I'm telling you, it's
Yeah, I'm good. I'm not ever never gonna do that.
yeah.
We won't say why, but I'm like, oh, I'm glad you got to do it, but
Yeah.
yeah, not my thing at all.
And you know what? When you see these dolphins, and I've seen the same dolphins from far, right, doing the shows and stuff, and you think, whatever. But when you get really close to them, when you're literally like next to them, they are massive.
Oh yeah, they're
I
big.
mean, my arm was just like trying to like hug them, and then they're like, at least, I don't know, 10 feet long or whatever. They're
Yes.
huge. They're huge,
Yep.
and they eat all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Every trick, they get a treat and stuff. So
Nice.
that was interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And then I know I'm hogging up a lot of the time here,
No,
but
go for it.
one of the other things I want to talk about the break, what was really, really important, and if people are wondering, like, hey, why did you go on this trip, and COVID and all this stuff. Like again, I want to show people, listen, I'm back. I because of my health issues, I had to be super careful, super protective, right? So we did all the precautions, mask wearing, hand sanitizer, hand cleaning, you name it. Ate outside, at all times and stuff like that. And now I'm back. I'm following my, the local laws and protocols by quarantining at home. I have not stepped out of my house at all, literally, like, right? I'm following that for 14 days and stuff like that. But one of the main things I want to mention is that a few days before going on break, I had reached my limits in terms of my mental health
Hmm.
capacity, and I was literally feeling I just can't. I have 3 more days to go before I'm done work. I have 2 more days to go. Can I make it? Can I make it? I was literally getting to a point where I was running out of fuel. I was
Hmm.
running out of. I just gave it my all to end that particular week. I was on the verge of, like, I feel like I was on a verge of like a mental breakdown. Um, just exhaustion and everything like that from um, dealing with COVID and work and all that. So, but once the break kicked in, it was just kind of like a refresh, right?
Yep.
I don't know
Yep.
whether you had that same kind of feeling or close to it or not, but so it's important to mention that because yeah, people that know me, may think that everything's hunky dory, but someone like me and you go through something like this as well.
Hmm.
We're all humans
Oh
after
yeah.
all.
I mean, honestly, in order to keep my own mental health in check, I do body and mind work almost every day.
Yeah, that's good.
And if I don't do that, then I feel it in everything.
Yep.
And so for me, the last, I don't know when I started doing this, but like honestly, it's just like the meditation has been life changing. Um, and it's not weird. It's not like a spiritual thing or anything like that. It's a human experience, and just to
Yeah.
kind of level set your head for the day and stuff like that. But even with all that, I am ready to do something. See, there you go. Um, Ready to do something different for obvious reasons and stuff like that. But I have the privilege of currently living in Florida, um, where I don't have snow and ice like you. I remember like you. This is like this is what I came home to, and it was just snow everywhere. And I'm like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Um, but like it's cold right now. That's
Yeah.
I'm in the garage, and I'm like, I needed to wear heavier things. But during the day, I you can be outside and it's nice. And
Yeah.
being out in the sun, I think one of the issues people are experiencing right now is like they're working from home and they don't go outside at all.
Yeah.
And we are human, we are biological beings that came into being regardless of any spiritual views and stuff like that on this planet, which we receive all of our energy from the sun.
Yeah.
We need to be
And I
outside.
think I think
So,
that's exactly what got to me was that not being exposed outside, not doing the things that I normally would do. One was the frequent travels that I used to do, the on the weekend trips whether I would go to run errands and stuff like that. I mean, we're just so isolated. We just kept, you know,
yep.
and then it gets to you eventually because you're day in day out. You are inside, inside, inside. So one of the things I really liked what you mentioned about body and mind. I've also started, you know, changed my ways, and now I've started to do uh, daily exercises. I take the time because before I used to say, "Oh, I don't have the time. Oh, I'm too busy. Oh, I got to work on this first. I got to work." Now I make sure that I allocate the time, at least 30 to 45 minutes every day, to do rigorous walking, at
Hmm.
least some walking or some jogging kind of a thing, just to get my blood flowing and my heartbeat and things like that. So that's been good. Also watching my food intake. that sort of a thing.
Yep.
So just trying to change small little things like that, and also like making sure I do separate um, work and home, even though you're home.
Yeah.
um, so hopefully everybody has, yeah, if you guys have other ways that you are dealing with this, and your tips and stuff, please do let us know.
Hmm.
So anyway, so we don't have anything technical. It's the first show of 2021, but obviously, I think we are going to get on a very regular basis here now for this year.
Hmm.
We got a rhythm going. Um, but one of the other things that I think I want to bring up, just casually, is the uh, current situation regarding WhatsApp and Signal. I think you knew I
uh,
was going to go there.
yeah.
So I, I just want to say it started off, um, both platforms have existed for a long time, right? They've been around. Signal's
Hmm.
been around for a long time. It's a messaging. If those that don't know what it is, it's a messaging app, messaging platform that does things more in a secretive manner. Like it doesn't track things, and the disappearing messages and things like that. That was their selling point for years.
Yep.
Um, but what has happened lately, and you can chime in, is Elon Musk, a wonderful Elon Musk, uh, posted a tweet maybe 2 weeks ago, a week ago. I can't remember. It was just very recently. It was just a two-word tweet. It said, "Use Signal," and that thing just blew up. Like blew up because one, he has influence. He's a known individual in the right, and I think last week and for he was the number one richest person in the world for 2 days. Then he dropped, and then he gained it back again. So just imagine, right? So it's like, what this has done is that it's created, in my opinion, um, a sense of false sense of security, false
Hmm.
sense of privacy, right? I'm not saying privacy is not important. I'm not saying security is not important, because I believe in both.
Hmm.
But what I'm saying is we have to be logical. We have to be have to use some common sense, and we have to do our own research when it comes to things like that. For example, WhatsApp is owned by Facebook. So is Instagram, right? They're all using the same technically kind of accounts.
Hmm.
And by eliminating WhatsApp, because Facebook is going to start collecting your data, and whatever the current hype is, which is right, you're doing disservice to yourself, because if you're still using Facebook, whether it's on an app or whether it's on a browser in your computer, and if you're using Instagram to do your photos and things like that, these are all integrated applications and services. They're all doing kind of the same thing. So by eliminating one, you're really not fixing the problem at all. You literally have to, cut yourself out from the entire suite, which
Hmm.
is not really something people can do. That's all I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
Um, Taking it further, um, eliminating WhatsApp and Facebook and whatever. And by the way, I don't make a single dime from any of these companies. I'm just trying to speak from a technical standpoint, and someone who's very ingrained in social media. If you're using Waze for your driving and stuff like that, that's collecting a ton of data as well. The GPS on your phone that is always on is also collecting a ton of data.
Not always on, but go ahead.
Most people do by
Hmm.
default, right? Like I said, I'm talking about the regular, consumers, right? We're IT people, we're technical people. We know better. We know what to tweak and what not to tweak. Regular people. You have browsers on your phones that collect stuff at
Hmm.
the same time, and various other apps. I mean, all sorts of things that are doing things. If you're browsing, you're using a browser, whether it's Chrome or Edge and stuff like that, you're going to a web browser, a site. One of the things that come up now because of GDPR is, you always get the prompt for, do you accept the cookies? Do you accept this privacy information? And if you actually read the fine print, which they have to disclose now because of GDPR, you will be amazed with the amount of stuff that they're telling you that they're going to be collecting,
Hmm.
right? So do your own due diligence with this. Switch to Signal if you need to. Switch to whatever you need to. But just don't fool yourself that you're completely privatized.
Right. Yeah. Even you got to think down to the vendor of your, I should say, software vendor of your phone. All the telemetry that is collected by Google and Apple is incredible.
Mhm.
I can go into my history and see like every location that I've been to where I haven't used any apps and stuff like that. And it'll come back and say, "How was your experience at this store?" I'm like, "Ugh, that's annoying." Um, and again, in your Google history, it will show you all the applications that you've launched
Yep.
and stuff like that. It's like, okay, and so I will periodically just go and clean that up because they're not paying me to sell that data, and they do sell that data. I
Yes, they
forgot
do.
the name of the company. Oh man, I think it was back around maybe Thanksgiving, where there is this company that created some really beautiful animations of, hey, these are the you know top blah universities in the U.S. Let's see where their students went for Thanksgiving break.
Yep.
And it was like, holy cow! Like, look at all the places that how far away and across the not at that this year, not really across the world. But then I was like, how on earth did they get that data, and how do they know that they're a student at that university? Well, they don't know that they're a student of that university. They're just assuming because they left the area on that particular time that wherever they bought that data from, that's most likely a student or faculty person. So it's
It's
like,
interesting you brought that up, and I'm not going to make this political at all and has nothing to do with politics. We're just talking straight up technology here, technical. So you brought up a very good point about the students. So I don't know whether you probably read this week, the app Paula, right? So obviously there was a very disturbing a thing that happened last week and stuff like that, and I'm not going to get into that. But what is really, really interesting is that how um, many people are being located just from the use of their phone.
yeah,
There's a map out there that shows the concentration of people in a particular area. And where's that coming from? That's coming from the GPS data on the phone. That's coming from your Google Maps and coming from your messaging and stuff like that. All of that is coming from that stuff.
yep.
Like, and that's not by using WhatsApp. That's not by using, what I'm saying. So I'm
Yeah.
just saying that there's a lot more to that. For example, I went on this vacation trip, right? I came back and I think it was yesterday, all of a sudden I get a notification on my phone from Google Maps that came up, and it listed me the places I actually stopped and went to and say, would you like to write a review or something about these places? And
Sure.
I'm like, son of a gun. I actually did go there. I didn't use Google Maps at all. I
Hmm.
didn't open it. I didn't flag these places, but Google knew,
Yeah.
right? So be a bit more educated about it, like read up about it, research and then make your best judgment call on this.
Yeah.
But just don't follow the hype. Don't jump the guns.
It's a good field for someone that knows about this stuff to do like consumer consulting on a
Mhm.
very personal level. It would be an amazing business to like to
Oh,
reach
yeah.
out to your local hey, there's things you can do to better make your life private. I can help you do that. It'd be kind of an interesting opportunity. I don't know if it could get anywhere. But I mean, like we've talked about before, there's a reason Facebook is free. It's not.
Yeah.
You are, they are using your data. Google is using your data. Apple is using your
They
data.
have to make
Microsoft,
money some one way or another, right?
exactly. So, I mean, and yeah, it's just you gotta do the thing. And there's lots of you can figure this all. I mean, the folks listening to this, like you said, already know. But
Yeah.
I use Facebook in a private browser, but it doesn't matter
I was
because
just
the
gonna
data
mention
that
that too.
yeah,
Yeah.
like if I find something interesting on Instagram, Facebook will find out that way. So they won't know about my browsing habits, right?
Right.
In that private session, but they'll know about my interests via Instagram. So that it's super annoying, like how all this stuff is integrated at this point. But I
Yeah.
choose to kind
So
of yeah.
so the private browsing sessions or incognito mode, it's really not technically all that private. It is again another false sense of security. Um, what it does is that it is private to a point where your particular system is concerned, right? So if someone else, if you're done your session, you close out, someone else comes to your machine, they're not going to be able to track and see what you've been searching, what you've been looking at, where have you gone, stuff like that. Your
Right.
cookies and all that stuff, history, everything is wiped out, right? That's what it is all about. But at the same point in time, that is not that doesn't mean your ISP, your internet service provider, uh, does not have that information. They
Oh
do,
yeah, of
right?
course.
The
Sure.
government does, and other organizations that you've been using through those browsers, they do have that information.
Yep.
So yeah.
I don't care about that. I just don't want Facebook to know what
Yeah,
articles I'm reading on CNN on my regular browser. Like
right. And
but
that
that's
is
me.
annoying
So,
though, right?
mhm.
Like I would search something sometimes on, Bing or Google for, I don't know. For example, you're looking for shoes, uh, and you go back to Facebook, and now you start seeing ads or things that are popping up. Like,
I can't stand it. Yeah. To me it's not useful at all, but I guess apparently it's useful for a lot of people
for
because it's there.
advertising. For
Yeah,
advertising. Yeah.
I can't stand it. It's so annoying
Yeah.
to me. But anyway, honestly, the way that I choose an app is how pretty it is. Like I can't stand WhatsApp. Like
Yeah.
I'm like this is such an ugly application.
There are
Like
other applications, right? I mean, Discord is another popular one,
mhm.
things like that, and Slack, you know,
Yep.
various. Yeah. I agree. I agree with the WhatsApp thing. You're right.
Yep.
Um, and also, like, okay, another downfall of WhatsApp is like, it requires a phone number, you know, um, and then everybody that, if you add people to a group, then everybody sees the phone number of the
Yep.
people that you, so that, yeah, you lose that sense of privacy if you've been wanting to keep.
Of course. Yeah. It's definitely like
Mhm.
you got to know the people that are going to use it and do you trust them
Right.
and stuff. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. Yep.
It's a good topic.
Yeah, for sure.
So let us know how you feel about it.
Yeah, and is there a prettier messaging app out there that I should use? And can I convince my friends to use it? That's the
That's
thing.
right. That's right.
Yep. So
Yeah. So,
cool.
anyways,
Oh, actually Skype. Why not? Anyway, well, it's 10:15 p.m. It's actually past my bedtime by 45 minutes. So,
right.
and I'm freezing.
Did
It's
you want to
getting
mention the new toy that you just got?
We both have. Yeah.
Hey, we both
So,
have. Yeah.
yeah, I just bought a Oculus Quest 2. And I've heard about it. I have friends that have it, and they just really talk it up. You've been
Mhm.
loving it and stuff like that, but it wasn't really interesting to me. But then you said like, and there's this multiplayer things that I do, like playing ping pong, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, are you serious? And so that's the reason I bought it, is like I want to do this multiplayer experience and be like, you can play games against people. I didn't realize we were there in
Yeah.
technology with whatever, however it makes it happen. And yeah, I got it a couple of days ago, but I've only used it once because I did it late at night, just walking through that initial setup and stuff like
Setup.
that.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm convinced that the level of light that you get, that I got, I was up until like almost 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that again. But
Don't do that late at night. No. No.
yeah, and so,
Yeah.
over the weekend, I'm definitely going to explore it more. And some of the apps that we've talked about in our chats, I'm like, this looks really cool, especially I'm really looking forward to the, not necessarily like the adventure type games, but like the sporty kind of games and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So
Beat Saber. That's gonna. You're
that
gonna.
Beat Saber.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fun.
Yeah, I've played that one before and I'm like, oh man, I can't wait
Yeah.
to really get into.
So I was skeptical about the Oculus as well initially, and it took me a long time to get one. But our friend Mick Pletcher, who's a diehard Oculus fan,
Oh, right, yeah.
and he would actually bring it along with him to conferences like Ignite. And I've seen him bring it to the to the expo hall. And I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, I went over to the corner there and I played a couple of games and stuff. I'm like, all right. Yeah, it's
Hilarious. Oh.
so anyway, so I kept asking him, so tell me more. Are you sure? Are you sure? And he said, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I finally bit the bullet. You couldn't find one during COVID, like early stages of COVID, because
Yep.
everybody's trying to use it at home for for entertainment.
Mhm.
But I finally did find it, and I was just blown away by the experience and the technology. Like it's it's unreal.
For sure. Yeah, I ordered my Quest 2 on Christmas Day that night. And I didn't get it until January 13th. Like that's how, you
Yeah,
know. And
yeah.
so I was expecting it. They said initially the expected delivery date would be January 27th, and so they actually were able to move it up. Probably
Okay.
people like, oh, actually I don't want this anymore. Cancel my order.
Oh, it's possible. Yeah.
I don't know.
But anyway, so there is a social aspect of Oculus. If those of you who have Oculus, obviously you know about this already. And if you are friends with us, let us know in the comments so we can connect on in the Oculus VR world.
Okay. So can you have a person that is your Oculus friend that's not your Facebook friend? Because it's now the same company.
I'm not sure.
Because
That's a
that's how we found each other,
Right,
I
because you've
thought, right?
connected your Facebook and
Yeah, which
same
I'm like,
company.
oh, you got to be. That's really annoying
I
to me,
know.
and I'm glad that Germany has filed a lawsuit against that.
Yeah.
But at the same, I'm like, no offense, but I'm not gonna just friend anybody on Oculus if I have to be your friend on Facebook. Like, nope, that ain't gonna
Right.
happen.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, if it's independent of that, that'd be kind of cool to. Yeah, and I guess you can do like meetups in there. There's like an app to do
You can have
meetups.
meetups and yeah,
Um,
you can have
um,
chats. You can chat with people and stuff like that. And
Yep, there's a virtual desktop app to give you like a virtual office space.
yeah,
So it's like, okay, this is interesting. I have the original Samsung Gear for my S7, and I remember being like, wow, this is really cool. But it was more like not a useful thing. Like you just did the apps and experienced the thing, but you couldn't really do much with it beyond that.
okay.
This is a whole nother level. Like, I didn't know that we were here. So
Yeah.
anyway.
All right, so we'll sign out and we'll call it a show.
Cool. All right. I'm Prayer. You can find me on Twitter as the IT Jedi and on Instagram as the IT Jedi.
See, you do use Instagram.
Yes.
And I'm Harjit, and you'll find me on Twitter as @Hooge, HOORGE. Until next time, cheers.
See ya. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
fork, fork, fork.